All right. Hello, everybody. It's Bob in 1KPR. And if you look back at some of my other recent preselector insertions here in YouTube, you'll see we were working on some prototypes, a couple of them for some potential customers. Those were built in plastic cases, and one of them went out, and the guy liked it. He had it for a few days. He wanted to add a few things to it, primarily some bandpass filtering that we didn't have any of the other units. And I did want to clean up the supply a little bit. We had about 2 or 3 millivolts of noise on the supply, which is very clean. It's a linear supply. I've since installed some more filtering on a newer design. We've got a big old pie filter down in here too. That gives me. We're in the sub millivolt ripple range, so that's really almost battery clean DC, almost, not quite. Also, as we feed each module, as you can see, we decouple into here, and we're decoupling over here into the back module, and then again over here into this section where the preamp is. All right, let's get into this quickly. He wanted to be able to plug. He's going to be out in the field, so he's going to be in the van or in his private car, or he says there's a big state forest there. He's going to be out on foot with his portable radio and this unit running 12-volt battery. So he didn't know what antenna he wanted to use, so instead of giving him multiple antenna inputs, which he could do, I've given him multiple connectors. So we have a BNC, an SO239, an F fitting, and an RCA on there. You see them characters. So this switch is actually a connector selection switch rather than an antenna switch. And of course, the obligatory shunt. You can shut everything down, protect the radio from static buildup, whatever. We've got a source impedance thing that works really well. It's very low loss. I'm using a Type 43 core. And I wound a transformer that's good down into the loafer band. So it's virtually no loss at all. Right now we're running it at 50 ohms, as you can see, and that's where it matches up with my 80 meter antenna. So it's pretty close. I'm sorry, 160 meter antenna. We could also bypass it if he wants to check if there's any loss in here. You could always, you could enable it or bypass it and watch your S meter, see if there's any difference. Then you know if you're having any loss in the core here or not. But once you get used to it, you know how it works, your confidence will be there. We're giving him an attenuator in case he's near the tower. He can not be clobbering everything with lots of volts per meter in the electric field, so he can crank this down accordingly. And that's kind of, I don't know if you can see the writing on the wall there. You can see the decibel level. I get up to about an 8-to-1 ratio of reduction, which is plenty. Of course, every control has a bypass switch, so you just, if you turn them red, you don't even have to read them. You just ignore them. Red's bad, green's good. We added sensitivity, so the drive level to the preamp can be accurately calibrated along with his S meter. He could do the math, plus and minus. It's very accurate. Focus, please. Thank you. There it is in dB level. All the way up to up here would be unity. And of course, he can come down to minus 18, minus 12. The preamp, if you invoke it, again, green's good, red's off, bypassed. It's calibrated. When it says 6.2, it's a double scale. 6 dB is a 2-to-1 ratio. You can see white and yellow, white, yellow. All the way up to, you can see it, it's 15 dB. Stupid camera. 15 dB, 6-to-1 ratio. The selectivity control, when we pull this in, we're powering up the BB112s. Remember, no mechanical capacitors anymore. So that is just a marvelous thing. I had my doubts about varactors working in this kind of situation, but man, that's all I'm going to use from now, according to what I just said right now, which could change at any moment. So that's the selectivity thing. He can... this is good down to about 480 kilohertz here and about 1.9 megs over here. So we can, we can swing right through the AM broadcast band. The isolation, or the reject ratio, or return loss, if you like, depending on where you are in the band, could be as high as 48 or even 54 to 1. You get up in here. Actually, I've had measurements up around above 70, but that's way up near the 1600 kilohertz portion. And down here, we're around 24 to 36 dB rejection. So if you got a local guy nearby you, and he's kind of coming in on your receiver, clobbering the IF filters on your test receiver, you can just pre-select him out. Bandpass, very tight, and really designed for 10 kilohertz segments of the AM broadcast band. 2 bandpass filters he wanted in case, he's at a tower site, there's other strong signals nearby. I'm giving him a 12 dB, which is for general use, bandpass. And here's a 30. You can kick them both in. They're additive. And he gets 36 dB of attenuation outside the AM band. This is AM only, and if you can see it, 500 to 1800 kilohertz, and it drops quickly according to the dB specification. I built in a multicoupler. And you look back here, he's got 4 outputs. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're hot all the time. It comes from a unity gain electronic isolation system here with its own power supply. These are emitter followers. They're very low impedance, so they're going to drive the radios with no problem. If he likes, he could turn this yellow and go over here to a direct output, which is just, single-ended direct out 52 ohms. But in all likelihood, you put in the multi-coupler and leave it there. I'm going to put another module in here. He hasn't asked for it yet. I'm going to ask him about it. If he wants a bias T, if he wants to diplex some voltage out through the... over here. I got to point the camera out here to the antenna inputs. If he's running a approximate RF E-field sampling antenna, he can put 12 volts out there at 150, 200 milliamps, something like that. He may have a magnetic loop with a preamp built in, and he may need to power that up to coax. That'd save him a lot of work. You just flip the switch. I'm going to put a switch back in here. And he can flip the switch, and he's automatically putting voltage on the antenna line. Current limited, constant current source. Okay. Power supply, we're coming in here. We're doing some filtering here. This is hot. See the plastic? I'm touching 110. I'm not getting hurt. Nice heavy transformer. We're actually coming into the regulator. You see the regulator? It's on this brass heat sink here. We're coming in there at about 17 or 18 volts. The reason for that is I want to knock it down to 12 a lot to get any garbage that's riding on the AC, to get rid of it. We've got a lot of cap on the input. We've got a lot of cap on the output. And then again, we've got the pi filter here. I've got these little RF bypass guys, little blue things. Got them all over the place. I've got the decoupling as I said, for this module, that's the decoupling for that. Over here, we got decoupling here with feed through caps to power the preamp. The multicoupler is all decoupled. The decoupled multicoupler. That's not easy to say. And of course, as always, every control is switchable in or out. Red's off. You just look at it. You don't have to read anything. So, oh, off, off, off. I don't worry about anything. If you shunt, you're off. Shut the antenna. All right, real quick. I'm going to go to a local station here. And we're going to go... you see that? I've got that calibrated to what I call 0. That's 50 microvolts over there. I'm going to kick in the preamp in case we need it. Let me give you some audio. All right, and now we're going to invoke the preselector. Whoop, nothing. Well, I'm tuning down into that frequency. You see it comes right up to unity. All right, let's go over to... We'll go over to another guy. He's center scale, 960 kilohertz, so we're up around a meg. I'm going to tune and turning the preselector now. There we are. I need a little more preamp to tickle this. All right, let me tune through it now. I'm going below 1 meg. Coming up to 1 meg, just went past it. So there you are. You see the tuning. Now, if I take you up to full scale...
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. Let's just see what the preselector does. Look at that. There's a lot of dB. I'm going back up to 1 meg, past it, now down again. I've actually got dead air at this point. And that's 10, 20, 30, that's a 40-something dB right there. So here we are coming back. I'll take a look at it. Here's the control. Almost at mid-scale. It's 960, so the center top is about 1 megahertz. Turn that down. So that works well. I'm really, really, really happy with that preselector. Preamp's very clean. A lot of dynamic range. It's hard to overdrive. You can if you're near the tower. That's why we have the sensitivity, the input drive level control, and the general attenuator. So you can preset this thing. You could actually work within feet of the tower and have this thing work. What did I miss? Over here. We haven't put them in yet, but we're going to have green, amber, red LEDs for the power line, or in his case, the battery. And really all that's going to tell him is the input feed, whether it be DC coming in the back here or AC off of the generator in his van, or maybe he's got an inverter in the car, or maybe he plugs it in at the studio. He wants to listen at the studio. It's several miles away. This will tell him that he's got a valid ground. Let's see, you see that? It's like those little things you buy to test your outlets in the house, you know. Green will be a valid ground. Amber means that they're neutral. If this is red, the line, that the neutral and the line are in correct phase. If not, these two won't light. You may or may not have the ground. If you don't have a ground, there's no green light. And if the polarity is reversed, you can see it here. That's the reason for that is this whole thing is a metal chassis getting bolted into a metal rack. You don't want ground loops and all kinds of crazy stuff like that, especially in an RF environment. Bad enough in the audio business, but in RF it could be deadly. So there you are. A quick look at the layout here. With toroid tuner unit, preamp, the preselector with the BB112s. Get some BB112s, play around with them. 330 microhenries will get you in the broadcast band, cover the whole thing. Good power supply for the BBs. I'm going up to 8 volts here because after 8 volts, there's really no benefit. From 0 to 8 will cover the whole broadcast band. the 12 dB and the 30 dB bandpass filters, the power supply, and the output coupler for multicoupler for 4-stage. All right, that's it. Again, I said I was going to go short, and I went long because that's what Bob does. He gets carried away, get off the tracks, go into the weeds, whatever you want to call it. All right, thanks for looking. www.bobsamerica.com is the website, and if you're kind of interested, join the channel here. N1KPR is my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.